Now that that's done, I'm going to start that all over again. Hey there, friendlies. How's up? Welcome to the last live stream episode of January 2020. I got some beer. I got some blades. We're going to talk about bushcraft. Actually, this time what we're going to talk about is camping. Wild camping versus campsite camping versus provincial or national park or whatever the variant of that is in the country or jurisdiction where you live. I have a lot of experience with some of those styles of camping and very small amounts of experience with at least one of those. I will probably open this up to other viewers, which is why I'm doing it on StreamYard. If anyone really wants to talk about one or another of those variants, or they've just got some philosophies, some camping philosophies to talk about. We're going to stay on target, though. So as for the beer, let's see. We got 3 people watching. So who we got? We got Tenenbaum. Nice to see you. We got Simon. Nice to see you, too. Mike Morton's here. Mike. Glad to see you. Mike doesn't always have time to hang with us, but I'm always glad when he does. The guy knows a lot of stuff, and he's a really nice guy. With a YouTube channel, by the way. That's all I'm going to say about that. So in terms of camping, the reason why I wanted to talk about this was just I was... Simon says, stop messing around. It works. Are you sure? Are you sure, Simon? Are you hearing that? I was trying to figure out what the heck to talk about tonight. And I realized that, like, I talk about, excuse me, I talk about wild camping and on crown land and stuff, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what everyone wants to hear about. Because let's face it, not everyone is wild camping. Not everyone is on crown land or whatever the state land or whatever it is. And some people can really only get camping at the local campground, on a semi-regular basis. And what I'm trying to do here is bring this up in YouTube so that I can keep track of the conversation sort of live. So just give me 1 second. I will bring that up, and then I will mute the YouTube image almost immediately. Boom. There we go. So yeah, maybe I'll tell you a little bit about what the gestalt of my camping experience has. Oh, hey, Outdoor's here. Oh, hey, Outdoor. Yeah, I think Mike works really early hours or something. Are there enough people here for me to show off my beer? Does anyone else have a beverage? Outdoor's pan for some hash browns. Nice. Supper tonight was a big disaster, but that's okay because we all. Hey, Serge's here too. Nice. Glad to see all the regulars. All the regulars. It's like a happy family. So here's what I got for beer tonight. Oh yeah, Mike, what do you got with you, man? Simon, you'll be camping in the Réserve Faunique Mastigouche next summer. Nice. Wait, how far is that? Because I've never camped at Mastigouche. I've looked at it, but how far is it? I don't remember. No beer tonight, saving some good stuff for next week. Good man, Mike. Okay, so here's what I got tonight. Conifère d'Enfer Pale Ale. It's a pale ale, but it's not an India pale ale, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Conifère is a coniferous tree. And, of course, I've got all the lights off so that, to keep the focus here, but it means it's hard to read anything. That's the wrong language. There are evergreens everywhere, growing in the forest, hanging from your rearview mirror, and in Conifère d'Enfer, a beer featuring the taste, scent, and very essence. This is the kind of language that Outdoor Dauber loves when I'm talking about beer. Of spruce and pine. It's a strong-tasting brew that will remind you of walking in the woods or hiking in the mountains. They say that sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, but with this beer, you'll sense it even with your eyes closed. So when I saw that, I thought this is definitely a live stream beer. I think this is a fairly new one for the micro brasserie. What the hell's a micro brasserie? Microbrewery. The same book. It's a 500 ml, and it's, I guess, a strong beer is a 6%. I also have a salted caramel stout by Oshlag. I'm not going to drink both of these. This is my backup beer, just in case I hate the foresty one. Because this one sounds like it would be right up my alley. But I have been let down before. So, let's pop this. Who else is with us? Hey, Tyler's here. Tyler Rodriguez. I mean, when there are two Tylers on occasion, it's best to be exact. Am I right? Oh, this smells exciting. Let's see if I can pour it right. Man, it's weird to be excited about a beer that I can see through. I mean, you guys know that I'm all about the stout and the Russ, whatever the hell that is. An amber, I guess, a red beer, whatever they are. I like brown ales. I like bitters, extra, the sort of the British bitter. Oh, look at that color. Guys, I'm getting kind of emotional here. Look at that head. Just the perfect amount of head. Something horrible went through my mind just there, but I'm not going to say it because it's a classy show. Oh, okay. It's got a bitter thing happening. There's some hoppiness because it's a pale ale, but it's not too much. It's not like an IPA where it's like, but there's just like, it's not overpowered by. It's not overpowered by the evergreen magic, but it's there. It's just like a light dusting across the top. Oh, hold on. If this was a red or a cream ale, oh yeah, there's the sprucey goodness. If that was a cream ale with those notes in it, I would marry this beer. Pale ale, it's all right, but it's got some real good. It's got some life to it, you know. It's not rude the way an India pale ale is. It's got just a touch of the wildness there. Excuse me. Oh, that was good. All right, so let's see. Have I missed anyone? Okay, this sounds a bit weird, but I thought Rain Dance Bushcraft was at my house this morning while I was taking a shower. Why did you think that? Because that's pretty far for me to jump just to stand outside a shower curtain. Everyone's saying hi. I've already said hi to Tyler. Everyone's saying how's up to each other, which is perfect. Tenenbaum still here. Perfect amount of head. New t-shirt design. Pine Tar. Mike Martin has a Collective Arts Bourbon Barrel Aged Porter. Oh, fudge. 11.5%? Holy crap. How long have you been saving that? Hey, you know what's funny? By which I mean not funny at all. 4 beer have gone stale in my beer fridge. What have I become? Beer going stale in my fridge? What's going on? You guys are sending me some images. I'll wait for this ancient phone to bring them up. So yeah, that's where we are. We've done the beer. Now I want to talk about the camping and everyone here. Hey, Zach's here. A Lindemann Framboise Lambic. I would love to be able to find some of the stuff that Zach Fudge drinks. Zach, here's what I'm drinking. It's a spruce and whoop, boom. It's a spruce and pine flavored. Not heavily flavored, but there's essence of spruce and pine in this. It's very bushcrafty. Fox Outdoors, how's it going? Welcome back. We're talking about camping this time. I want to hear what anyone has to say about camping. Okay, let's take a little vote here. Anyone want to join in? Like, should we just have an open panel discussion right off the bat this time, or should we wait a bit? Let me bore you all to tears before I open it up. What do you think? Everyone who thinks I should open it up right the hell now, say some variant of yes, but don't all say the same thing, because I'm still afraid of, oh man, Paul's making hash browns. No, hold on. Oh, it's a Belgian beer? Okay. Boom. Here's what I'm gonna do. Because as Foxed Outdoors says, my channel, my choice. Let me just, before I go blithely opening it up to everyone, yes, okay, my cans are working. Okay, so Tyler says to bore you all first. And okay, so here's what I'll do. I'm going to tell you what my history of camping is, and how it sort of dovetails with the bushcraft. And some of you have heard. Oh, excuse me, guys. You know, some beer doesn't do that. Some beer really does. My approach to camping and bushcraft sort of dovetail nicely, and they're both very affected by my approach to conservation, maybe environmentalism, you know, and stuff like that. Aside from when I was, you know, camping with the Air Cadets or whatever, my family did a lot of car camping, but we owned one of those little trailers, you know, that flips open, you know, the camping trailer. And so, you know, just your typical campsite, you know, along the sides of Lake Winnipeg, because we were living in Manitoba at the time, or whatever, you know, just real typical 70s era camping, you know, heavy stuff, you know, the 70s era of outdoor equipment design, you know. I don't need these yet. Big heavy stuff, lots of, you know, flannels and canvas, crappy axe, crappy saw, crappy knives. And as we, a pop-up camper, yes, Fox Outdoors, thank you, that's exactly what it's called. But you know what? We had a great time. We didn't know any better. We were a bunch of city slickers. We were living in Saint Boniface, which now is part of the city of Winnipeg. You know, we weren't rural. We were urban people, and we were doing what people do when they go camping, or so we thought. And let's face it, for most people, especially at that time, that's pretty much what it was, you know? Because I didn't grow up with a hunt camp in my family or any of that stuff, you know? And I have a few memories of those campsites. Sometimes there was, you know, the sort of the little campsite with a few trees between one and the other. At least once, it was just like this field with tents or camping trailers or pop-ups or whatever. And, you know, that was okay. I remember then later when I have clearer memories of after my parents divorced, and I spent like half the year in Vancouver and half the year in Montreal, going camping in the going camping in like the provincial parks and the national parks in British Columbia, which, by the way, is a whole world different than Manitoba. You know, you had mountains. That's where I first really discovered how magical coniferous trees are. How I started to develop my sense of what my favorite trees are, which are like cedars, spruces, pines. Pines are okay. They're not the top there, but you know, pines. I like pines too. Firs. I love the balsam magic, you know, and a lot of what I feel is my favorite outdoorsy stuff still stems from those days, like early '80s, mid '80s. Right up until you're sort of scratching into the 90s. A lot of the stuff that I love about the outdoors is still very British Columbian. the moist pungence of the coastal forests of British Columbia. Hey, Damas is here. It's all right. You're not that late. We've only been on for like 15 minutes. And I still like standing on a mountainside and looking into a valley. I still like looking up at the sky and seeing the clouds march away into the distance. I still like looking at a range of mountains where the first one is very colorful, and as the further back they get, the lighter blue they end up until they sort of disappear into the sky. These are all the things that I love the most. I've come to appreciate the woods around here, the Adirondacks, the Laurentian area. It's almost the same damn thing, in fact. But it's not the same. I don't appreciate it in the same part of my soul the way I love the Western coast. Before I go any further, pop-up camper, yes. In terms of weight, is there a difference between a pop-up camper and a prospector tent fully equipped? I think that depends on the pop-up camper, right? Because you got your bombunda gas, whatever the hell that is. Your propane tank. You got a toilet. You've got a full stove and oven in there. Actually, no, not always. Actually, ours didn't have that. You got a little Coleman stove, so that's a lot lighter than the wood burning stove in a prospector tent. But I don't know, man. I think that the trailer is probably heavier. Water tank as well. I don't know if ours had a water tank. Ours was a pretty rock bottom one. Oh, Foxit Outdoors is saying pretty much the same thing. I think Outdoor Dauber says, I think family camping in the 70s was an extension of the men in the 50s after coming home from the war going to hunt camp. Yeah, that might be. Yeah. Where was I? Outdoor, I've never been that late for my own live stream. So we're still car camping with my dad, but it's a little more rough and tumble. There's usually a flush toilet and stuff and some water somewhere along the road, like a running water, but everything just feels more rugged out there, I guess. And some of you guys know, all right, Simo's reloading his browser. Lock and reload. Hector, you're right. I've been like a half hour late for my live stream before. So once we're out here, I think it was Golden Ears. It was Manning Park in BC, and we're taking we just decided, you know what? Let's just there's a walking tour of the subalpine meadows. And our campsite was a cheesy Coleman tent or a Canadian Tire Special or something with one of those big plastic tarps, like huge across most of our campsite, just because, it's British Columbia. It rains a lot. Really high so that the fire doesn't burn a hole in it. Like really high that my dad had a step ladder. And the campsite was gravel surrounded by trees with just a fire pit and a picnic table. They're very often the same thing nowadays, right? Cheesy axe, utility knife instead of a bushcraft knife kind of thing. So he and my sister and I decide, I was like 15, 16, full-on self-centered, self-involved teenager at this time. So I guess my sister was about 13, just coming into that. And so we go and do this subalpine meadow guided tour given by this 20-something park ranger who I don't really remember what she looked like, but I still remember her voice, man. She had a sexy voice, kind of like an alto, not like a really high soprano or anything, kind of a mid-rangey alto. She knew all this stuff, but I wasn't really paying attention because I was too busy being a teenager, thinking about myself and just sort of scuffing along, following the group, surrounded by this epic beauty, and just, but I was thinking about her. Anyway, she's blithering on about some plant or other because she's actually a biologist by training. And I looked down into this bowl valley, and there's a whole herd of something down there, maybe caribou or elk or something. And it's just so many of them that they're just like this stain. It's a bowl valley, right? So it's not like a steep one with a river. It's kind of just this sweeping. And so there's this, hey, Grace, how's it going? And so there's this huge herd that's just like a stain that follows the contour of their land. And they're just moving across the valley and following the contour. So it's like there's an ink stain just sort of sweeping. And that's the moment that started me on the line, on the road to bushcraft. Absolutely adoring the outdoors, wanting to protect it. Leave no trace is fine. Leave it better than you found it is better. Try to drive as seldom as I can. Recycle as a last resort. Refuse as a first resort. All the irritating stuff that makes some people cringe. I mean, I'm not a full-on tree hugger, but I do like me some trees, and I do want the world to be here for my daughter. But it was just, it's just a progression of 70s style car camping to like 80s, slightly more rough car camping, less money because of, only one income, right? And then just this moment, and everything started to sort of to change. I started to very, very slowly, my interest moved more in this direction. Now, when I was in the Air Cadets, we did wild camping. When I was in the Air Cadets, we camped on Crown land. My clearest memory of that was of a warrant officer saying, Sergeant Corbet, you and Cusson go and get Voodoo Flight and start putting up tents. You two over there, go dig a latrine, kind of thing, And the thing is, you don't have the time to just sit back and enjoy the outdoors when you're in that kind of context, because it's a training weekend, And then during the summer, when you're at basic training or junior leadership school, as I was, it's a training summer. And okay, there is a survival weekend where they dump you on an island with almost nothing. But none of this really gives you time to just kick back and enjoy the nature. When you're at basic training or junior leadership school, basic training, which is at Bagotville, if you're kicking back and watching everything, it's, you're watching fighters take off at night. It's not, you're not communing with the woods kind of thing, But that's where I got most of my canoeing experience as well. Sometimes we were camping in those big Canadian Forces winter tents. If it was wintertime, sometimes we were just building lean-tos. But at least you can smell the woods. They don't give you a lot of time to kick back, but when you get that scent in your nose, especially when you're building a lean-to and you're down close to like the earth and the dirt of it, you can sort of almost in secret enjoy the sensation of being in the natural world. But after that, life sort of picked up, and I didn't get a whole lot of chance to get into the woods. Not a lot at all. It was just really, when Camille was born, that I decided I read Last Child in the Woods and decided that my girl's she's going to grow up knowing trees. She's going to grow up knowing what it's like to have her hands full of earth, to know how to swing an axe or a saw. And That's where I got back in touch with this thing that I love, and it's very therapeutic. If I didn't get into the forest, man, I would be angrier than I always am. You know. Let me just. Hey, Canoe Hounds here. How's it going, Dennis? Isn't it a little early for you? I mean, I'm very glad to see you here. I love seeing you here, but you know, just taking a. Grace Martin says to Tyler, I think you like pickles. I love pickles, but unlike Tyler, I like me some dill. And you know who else likes dill? Tyler's partner, Nick. She likes the dill. So I think she's okay. I'm I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. I hate it when I miss someone. And like, I only notice an hour later that they've been here and been saying, "Hey, Jess." So anyway, so I mean that's where I ended up here today. You know, with this approach I have and this love I have for the outdoors. You know, stuff like that. And so that's my story. What I haven't done yet is I haven't used my damn hammock. I bought it 4 years ago. 3 years ago? 4? Jeez, I think it's 4 years ago. So I haven't had the chance to take it out. You know, Oh, you're not going for wings tonight. Okay. Outdoor loves all pickles. Good man. Simon is trying to stir up shite. I see. Oh, okay. What I'm drinking tonight, damn it, is a pine and spruce flavored beer, essenced, scented. It's not too big, but yeah. And I'm liking it just fine. So tell you what, I've told you guys how I got to where I am. I mean, I've got other stuff to say, but that doesn't mean that I can't open it up because I think that some of you guys probably have some really interesting stuff to say. There's the address. There can only be 6 of us on at the same time while we're talking. Stick to the camping. Anything you want to say about camping, so long as we don't get too political, is fine with me. If you want to tell me about the hunt camp that you grew up with, then I'm okay with that. I'm going to put my cans on. Hey, Tyler.
Howdy. Oh boy. Grace was talking about how I liked pickles, and I wanted to share a story. So the first backpacking trip my dad ever went on was Isle Royal, and they're like, "Oh, this is so fun." My dad had never backpacked before, obviously, so he went and got a really lightweight pack and proceeded to bring a full package of Yiddish flatbread, a giant
Delicious.
jar of pickles, and I want to say one of those big freezer packages of like Kogel's hot dogs. It's like stuff you should never ever bring backpacking ever.
Okay.
But he proceeded to do all 30 miles of the trail carrying those things. But wild camping versus background, this is one of the things that was like important to me. So when I get to do wild camping or just normal camping, I don't have to worry about weight so much. But when I go wild camping, I get to do fun things like play bushcraft and make the knives, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't have anything against, however, site camping because, like you were mentioning earlier, I think site camping is like really the drug that first gets people into doing the other bushcrafty stuff.
Yes, sir.
It's the gateway drug that we kind of laugh at, but also really need.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm just saying hi to some people who've joined. I was going to type it all out because you were talking, but hi, Alain. Hi there, Hawaii Volcano Squad. How's it going? And hi there, Wood Pigeons here. Nice to see you.
Wow, my hair's awful.
Look at mine. That point you make about sort of the car camping being, first of all, Is it Isle Royale?
Yeah, it's regional. People say it different ways.
Okay, because I mean, living in Quebec, I've been saying it Ile Royale for forever.
So in Michigan, I can definitely tell you whenever we have something titled like Isle, as in like I don't know, the Green Isle or something,
Yeah.
Isle anything, we say it obviously Isle here. So I imagine it's like a French Canadian thing, maybe.
Well, because yeah, because that spelling of Isle is literally from French. So I would
But
have said Ile Royale, but I think you called it Isle Royal. Hey, my mom's here. How's it going? That's Colette Corbet, everyone.
hey, that's really cool.
Um, but yeah, as what you were saying about how car camping can be the gateway for people into sort of the more bushcrafty and wild camping, I think that's very legit. You know, it's sort of related to that whole thing that people are saying about crown land here is that if people don't canoe it and camp on it, if they don't know anything about it, they won't fight to protect it when the government is trying to package it off, parcel it off to resource extraction. In the same way, it's very, very hard for someone to develop enough of a love for the woods to take on, let's face it, the drag aspect of wild camping if they weren't first introduced to the woods in a safer kind of
Yeah,
context.
sure.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we can hear you. That's great.
Good.
That's great. You, I'm sure, have a lot of very epic tales to tell about camping.
How's it going?
All is well. All is well.
Indeed, all is well.
Getting better by the glass.
I seem to have a bit of a delay going on.
Do you? Okay.
Between the stream and StreamYard?
Yes, I bet you.
Yeah,
do.
everything's playing like a little bit later.
Mike, are you watching on YouTube or on the StreamYard?
Both, I think.
Yeah, don't bother watching the YouTube unless
There we
you
go.
want. Yeah, get rid of the YouTube window and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I just leave mine up and mute it.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Just because I find that it's a little faster on the chat, a little slower on the actual footage. But yeah, what we were just saying, Mike, was well, I mean, you heard Tyler's anecdote, and we're talking about how car camping can be the gateway drug for someone who gets more into wild camping and stuff. And I'm interested to hear if that's what happened with you, because you do some epic camping. Hey, avid outdoorsy guys here.
Yeah, I started with car camping and scouts. So a lot of that's car camping, or we did hiking, but usually it's not very far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of a leap usually to go from one to the next. But I found going with people who are a lot more experienced, you're not so worried about getting lost or stuck or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Very legit.
That's a big thing. Jess, didn't you not too long ago post a video of you guys in a national park, right? Or do you know the Canadian equivalent?
Yeah, no, we have national parks and provincial. It was probably a provincial park.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that, like getting them used to the idea of like kind of being out eventually gets them, I think, interested in doing the longer, harder stuff like Mike was talking about. You know, the hikes usually aren't that long, but eventually it gets people into doing the serious stuff that kind of makes them care a lot more. That just applies personally to me because I never used to backpack a very long distance, but then I have an aunt in Tennessee who invited me to do a long section of the AT, and I did it, and now I can't stop wanting to do it.
Yeah. You want to be a full-on through hiker?
No, hell no. I don't have the legs for that. I like food too much for that, man. Come on.
Fair enough. We have sort of, it's not the same thing up here, but there's a network of trails. This is getting a little off topic. I'll make it very brief. There's a network of trails that crosses the entire country from coast to coast to coast that used to be called the Trans-Canada Trail and is now called something stupid.
That's a dumb name for a trail.
What the hell is it called now? The Great Trail or something stupid like that? Dumb new name. But it took forever to put this trail system together. And the concept is you can hike and bike all across the country now. You know, hike and or bike. Some of it's bikeable, some of it's more sort of hiking or, portaging and stuff. Um, but I would love to make an epic cross country camping tour one day. You know?
Yeah, right by me. I don't know how famous it is, but the Bruce Trail, which is
Yeah, it's famous too.
Mhm.
yeah, so it's what 900 kilometers. But the
Yeah.
biggest problem is, especially down at the southern end by me, there's nowhere to camp. So if you're from, say, you're coming from Montreal and you wanted to do it, you
Yeah.
have to get a hotel room every night.
Yeah, and that kind of
Kills it. They don't
Yeah,
even have just
absolutely.
like some places you can walk to, and there's like car camping spots you can camp, but
yeah,
it's unfortunate that they don't have some tent pads along the way.
yep.
Yeah,
I
you're
agree.
right. That
I
does kind
agree.
of kill the magic a little bit.
Yeah, I
Because
only did
900
it.
kilometers is a pretty good. What's
That's
that? 600 miles, 500 some odd miles. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's a good long distance. I haven't done very much of it. I just did sort of the part up near Tobermory.
Yeah, I haven't done much of that. Anything that's near like Niagara, Toronto area, I've done lots of that. But
Oh yeah, you're down south, eh?
yeah, just west of Toronto.
Do we need to add an A count to the nightly counts?
Did I just say?
You did A.
I did.
I didn't even hear it. Background noise.
We're
Just
we're
filters it
immune
out
to
over
it.
time. Not useful information anymore.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did want to point out what Avid Outdoorsy guys said like a while back. My basic training was in South Georgia, deep in the woods, and I felt very connected to nature. I like it. I like that. Because I was in I did cadet basic training, not full Air Force basic training. And because I was in the Air Cadets, basic training wasn't in a camp in the woods. It was on an air base, so the context is very different if you're Air or Army cadets. In the actual forces, it's very, very similar to a certain point. But
That's kind of funny. I was just kind of randomly thinking it connects to the concept that I was thinking about. So once you kind of get into wild camping, you really can't do this car camping kind of stuff and enjoy it as much. But the way car camping I think feels to some of us more bushcrafty people is probably the way that this wild bushcrafty camping stuff feels to the people who are car camping, in that it's like laborious, kind of not enjoyable. But what I wish is if the same way that we learned to wild camp, we would appreciate teaching people with car camping. Could you imagine how good the community would be?
yeah,
And yeah, I agree. Once you especially if you are going to fairly remote places, it's pretty tough to go back to a parking lot. But my sons will be 3.5 by the time kind of summer starts. So I'm planning on doing the first canoe trip this year, but it's not possible to do that all the time. So car camping is certainly going to be filling some of that easy void.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, what I was gonna say to Tyler was that children have given me a new appreciation for the car camping because it's so simple to do when there's diapers and crap that you have to deal with. So what we do is we don't even bring our own tent. We go to the CEPAC, one of the provincial parks, where they have these things called Utopia. In English Canada, like in the national parks, so here too, but the Parks Canada ones, they have these things called Authentic, which is the same general idea. It's a big canvas tent with wooden walls and lighting and platforms for your bed, and there's like a Coleman stove outside. In fact, I did a video on this.
Yurts, what they call in English.
Yeah, but yurts are different, right? Because they're circular.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, the Authentics that they have at Parks Canada are sort of square. Authentic is a brand name, same as Utopia. It's a brand name. It's a French company. But camping with my family is so much simpler in that context. Also, the night we arrived, it poured.
Ooh,
So
fun.
the fact that I had agreed to go glamping meant that we were actually inside and warm, while I still would have been trying to organize the damn poles on my cheesy Coleman tent. So my wife enjoyed a very well-earned win on that one.
But you can also bring coolers with cold beer and meat and fresh vegetables. There's a lot of advantages.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do still tend to call it glamping rather than full on camping because I love the feeling of. I don't want to make it sound like I love the feeling of not having a safety net. What I mean is, I like I like to go camping. I like to be in the woods. I like to be camping.
It feels less wild when you have the extra things.
Well, and it's also, if you're just there, I see a difference between full on camping and staying at a campsite. Staying at a campsite means that the major part of the trip is not the campsite and the fire. It's, we're going to go whale watching and we're going to hit the museum of, I don't know, whale watching, and we'll hit town for supper and we'll go to the, I don't know, whale watching. I don't know. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
all sort of the touristy things, but staying in a campsite versus what I see as like, I'm going to sit at this fire and I'm going to make bannock using bacon grease from the bacon I cooked on this fire. And I'm going to enjoy looking at the trees. And there's a pileated woodpecker. Listen to the magic of the pileated woodpecker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
there is something different for sure about being like when you're in the middle of a week-long trip. When you're 3 days from either end, you can't get out. Not that the wilderness is any better or necessarily more magical. It's a different feeling.
Yeah.
When you can't just be out of there in a couple hours or minutes.
Yeah.
And that came up in the last trip I did in September when it was raining all the time. And we did basically 100 miles in 5 nights. So right in the middle of it, if you get hurt and you need to get out, it's the helicopter's coming or you're struggling for 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days we did healthy and good, right? So.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it just puts a little extra edge on your senses, a little extra keen edge, which maybe is part of the enjoyment too.
Yeah.
I like the feelings of stuff that are. Hold on, I'm in the wrong window here, guys. I like the stuff that's a little more primeval, you know?
Hold that. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Oh, no. I know the quote personally. Never mind. I shared a book the last stream I was on, My Side of the Mountain. I think Mike kind of just like hit the nail on the head there. The main character, Sam, says at one point, like in his internal dialogue, I don't know if you've ever heard a car go by when you've been in the woods for a week, but humanity's like a cannon in nature.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like what he says there. But I mean, like, yeah, having your senses to that point after you've been in the woods for a week, it totally does feel different. I mean, like, Mike, you're totally right. That's a really big part of why I think we go out. We want to have our senses at that point. It just feels like part of this personal community with the sport or, whatever you might call it.
Yeah, and I try, it's a lot harder with a young kid, but I try to avoid going for shorter trips because I feel like it takes at least a couple of 3 nights to really kind of let that noise fade into the background. Not to mention, like, it's a lot of planning and packing for 1 or 2 nights. Especially here in Toronto area, I got to drive probably 3 hours at least to get to Algonquin, and like 5 or 6 for anything more remote. So,
and it's very similar around here. Like an hour and a half away, there's campsites and stuff, but to get to something absolutely lovely, it's more like 3 hours, maybe 4 kind of thing. I just want to hold on. I put a link for those utopias in the side chat there, just so that people can see what I'm talking about. It's the canvas and wood one that's at many of the CIPAC here in Quebec and elsewhere. They've got them in like other areas. They've got some in the States and some elsewhere as well. It's just that's as far from real camping as I'm willing to go. I'm not going to stay in a trailer. I'm not going to buy a big freaking motorhome, And man, because they're canvas instead of nylon, the rain sounds relaxing and beautiful when it's falling. No matter how hard it's raining, because that first week that we stayed in them, man, it rained hard, and then it rained a little gentle, and then it stopped. But it's canvas just it deals with stuff like that better. the sound of it is just more like old time or something. Whereas
There's
with
some
nylon,
little details, yeah.
you know, whereas with like a nylon tent, still nylon or whatever. You know? I'm just gonna check to see what people are saying to make sure we're not. I was just saying about Hawaii Volcano Squad. It says be cool to get that volcano house, which is surrounded by jungle. Yeah, that would be cool. I don't have a whole lot of jungle experience, but I think anytime your next neighbor is over 5 kilometers away, I call that an epic win. Hey, Anthony Henry's here. How's it going? What?
I gotta duck out to do a little homework. I'll keep watching though.
All right. See you later, man. I will post the link again so that anyone, by which I mean Dennis or anyone, can join in. Boom. Because I'm doing this in Windows, it's so bloody confusing. There you go. Remember the time we camped on the west coast of Vancouver Island? We stayed in a rainforest and collected shells. When we got home, we found the bucket shells full. Yeah! Oh my god, I'd forgotten about that. Found the bucket of shells was full of maggots. I remember that. Yeah, you got to dry them out in the sun or something. Yeah, Hawaii Volcano Squad has a very different take on all this than most of us do. Step into the ocean. It's not civilized, and the predators will eat people. True wilderness. Truth. Where was that trip where the weather sucked ass?
It was Algonquin. We put in from the north end, Kiosk Lake.
Yeah.
And we went down to the Nipissing River, and then we traveled basically till it went to Cedar Lake, and then we went north through there. So it was about 2 or 3 days of river travel. We were on the river for 3 nights, and then 1 night on each end. It was actually supposed to be 6 nights, but I had my little GPS weather, and it said it was just going to pour rain the whole day. So we just pushed hard one day. I think we did 50 kilometers or 40 something, just to get so we could get out one day early instead of just being in there. Every day, everything was getting wetter. Sleeping bag, tarps, clothes. It's just hard to dry out when it was. We had pretty good weather temperature-wise. It was like a high of 15.
Yep.
Down close to 0, below 5. But when it's like humid and wet, it's pretty hard to dry your stuff out.
And to me, like I like the weather down to about 0. First of all, there ain't no black flies and mosquitoes biting your ass. No. But when all my stuff is wet,
it drains on you.
Yeah.
And, day after day, and your tent's soaked when you put it back in, so the inside gets wet. And when you're showing up at camp at 6, 7 o'clock, it's getting dark. You don't have time to put it in the sun, and
you're not using a hot tent, so you can't just hang all your stuff in the peak and let it dry.
No, we're using little 2-pound sil nylon, whatever.
Yeah.
So they do dry quickly. A little bit of breeze gets the job done in about 10 minutes, but it's already raining.
Yep, absolutely. Tyler is, of course, right about that. Kill them with fire. The flies, that is. Yeah, I think I would love to. Well, I guess a prospector tent can be used in warm weather or cold.
Yeah, you should be fine. It's nice, light colored. It wouldn't soak up the sun.
Yeah, of course,
breathe better for sure.
Yeah,
but I would not want to have one of those canvas tents in like a hard pouring rain for 4 or 5 days. It's not going to hold up. They're meant for the snow rain.
Yeah, I would be afraid of it starting to rot after about a week in the rain.
As long as it's keep getting set up every day, you should be okay. You're putting fresh rain on it.
Yeah, that's true.
Might not smell great, but
yeah. Oh yeah, man. My mom's reminiscing about this trip that I had completely forgotten about. Guys, I have this weird thing where there are vast. I'm not going to tell you why or anything, but there are vast parts of my life where I have almost no memories. So, like, this thing that my mom is talking about, I had completely forgotten about. In hindsight, that was a really good trip. At the time, we spent most of it wondering if we were going to ever see the, civilization again. Oh, no. Check this out, Anthony. Left the bait. Chicken lives in my mom's car. 2 days in the hot car. Time to trade it in. Yuck. That's a fishing story. Yeah, because it would be nice if there was kind of a hot tent-ish thing for around that temperature and rain. Because the magic of the hot tent is that you can dry out all your crap overnight, and overnight it will dry, unless.
If you did it, you could take it. Just take one of those big, get a big 20 by 20 tarp or something or other, like a still nylon tarp, and put it on top for the rain.
Yeah. Okay.
But the thing is, like at those temperatures, it wasn't. I never would have brought a hot tent because if at 5 degrees,
there's no reason.
We were just sitting around in long underwear at night and maybe a down jacket or something or whatever.
Yeah. Who's HVS?
Hello there.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, my camera doesn't work, but thanks to Windows.
Okay, I understand completely. Hold on, I'm just going to put this up there for Dennis. As a not so subtle hint that he should come on because he's got a lot of interesting stuff to say too.
How's everybody doing in 2020?
So far, it's not so bad. I gotta admit, though, for me, 2019 was a slow burning dumpster fire. So I'm very optimistic.
A dumpster fire?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Well, I've just been consumed trying to sell my condo and get up to my jungle prepper compound up on the volcano, and it's just like watching paint dry waiting for this to happen. I mean, spent so much money to fix the place up and cleaned it, it's just insane. And then we've had broker tours and open houses and stuff and caravans, and it's just it's like watching paint dry waiting for offers to come in. And I've got this deadline hovering over me because I like a contract to buy a house up in Volcano, but it's contingent upon selling this condo. And if it doesn't sell, then they'll just blow me off and put it back on the market. But it's such a cool place up there. It's surrounded by a bunch of jungle. I mean, but it's not 5 miles from civilization or anything like that.
Yeah, but surrounded by jungle still sounds gorgeous to me. I also want to say welcome to Avid Outdoorsy Guy.
Hey, how's it going,
mister? I'm here's what Dennis said. I decided we don't mind him stomping on his supper while he's on, right?
I'm really interested in when I get up there, doing some jungle camps. I've gone hiking up there, and it's just the jungle. It looks if you step into the jungle, it looks the same. And no matter what direction you're looking at, it all looks the same. So it's so easy to screw up land navigation.
Right. I find that it can be the same, and I don't know, Mike or Dennis, and I think maybe even Avid, you guys might think I'm wrong about this, but I find that the Boreal is very similar. It's very easy to get turned around.
Super easy.
You got to sort of be at one with yourself if you suddenly don't know where you are, and you got to sit down and have a drink of water and a think,
Oh, yeah. Several times. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to, not get in panic mode, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I find I'm very, very uncomfortable if I suddenly don't know where the hell I am.
Mm-hmm.
And has anybody ever gotten lost or out there in the bush?
Once?
Yes.
Yeah. Once.
Yep.
Actually, well, twice.
I once took a right turn when I could have taken a left turn.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, that's all it takes, right?
Right.
Literally, that's all it takes. If you don't realize until you've walked 500 meters or a kilometer or something, and then wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
That can be very, very stressful.
It can be. The second time was this past trip at Woodland Caribou this last summer, and I don't know if I was really lost because there was a limited area on where the portage entrance could be, and I didn't have. I mean, I just kept going back and forth and searching this area, and I didn't think to look where this boat was, like a stashed boat. That the portage entrance would be like on the other side of that boat, just like covered by it. So it was
Okay.
right there the whole time in front of me,
Yeah.
freaking out. I'm like, where is this portage?
Whoops.
Yeah, but the first time was actually really, really scary. I was a kid, and we were on a hike, my parents and my sister and me, and we went on this hike in the Bighorn Mountains. It's in the Rocky Mountain range, and I think we were in Colorado and or Wyoming, and we went on this hike, and it was kind of like a cross country ski trail, but it was in the summer, and it was
Right.
not very well marked at all, and it was just a simple little walk, maybe like a 30-minute hike, and we were out there for like 3 hours.
Okay.
It was really scary. We had no water, nothing. So we were crying. I was crying. I was
I
scared.
was gonna say, man, no water. That's bad news. No food. Okay, that sucks. But no water can be bad news.
It was rough. We were
Yeah.
freaking out. We thought we were gonna die out there.
No water sounds like bad planning, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had water, but we didn't plan on being out there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
right. Or you didn't plan on it being so hot, or the humidity was. It's just I don't know. I've been through so much in my life. I don't think anything actually could scare me except maybe falling from a height or something. I
Yeah,
survived.
heights freak me all the way out.
I mean, when I was younger, some things, ridiculous things, could scare me, and something that should have scared me didn't. And now I've just been through too much for anything to scare me, really.
I just want to show this. Good old Zach. That so counts. That counts so much, man. IKEA makes me snaky. Absolutely snaky. And of course, Tenenbaum at Avid is talking to you.
Oh wait, what is that?
It is always the last place you look.
Yeah. Mhm.
To which Tyler, of course.
Yep. It only took me probably like 45 minutes. After I took a break and took a dump on the side of the water and relaxed and then thought about it, I was good to go.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's why they say stop, sit down, drink some water. Because what that's doing is, first of all, yeah, it's hydrating you, and that's good for you. But it's also essentially tricking you into just sort of kicking back for a second, right?
Mhm.
Taking your head out of the panic space, right? Okay, I'm drinking water. And what's happening back there is, okay, where am I? How do I get back out of here? Like anytime you can sort of take a step back and relax.
Am I going the wrong way?
Yeah, am I going the wrong way? Am I, maybe, like what should I do right now? Maybe put some like a trail marker of some sort up so that if you do cross it again, or like if you're trying to get back to it or something,
Especially like I think if you're gonna do a canoe route that's maybe it's not very well traveled, bring flagging tape. I think flagging tape is a really good idea. And I wouldn't do one without it. It's a really lightweight, really simple thing to throw in your kit.
There've been quite a few rescue stories in Hawaii, like on Maui just recently, about like people that get lost on known hiking trails. Either they go they take one wrong turn, fall off a cliff, break an ankle, and then they crawl to where they think, and they just have no idea where they are, and their cell phone doesn't work for some reason, or they left it in the car or something. And then there's like a 2-week helicopter search, and then they find them. And it's just, but there've been a lot of stories like that, and but it's really fun. I pick up a lot of ideas by watching the shows that are on TV. Dude, You're Screwed, and even Naked and Afraid and Alone, and it's just you learn different things from the different shows, and a lot of it's psychology. The people on Naked and Afraid cannot work, and they suck at group dynamics, and the people that are alone they can't stand being alone. It's like you need to take the people from one show and put them on the other, and
But it's funny because you said something very important there, about state of mind. And we're sort of starting to veer off of the subject, but state of mind is definitely the best tool you have if everything goes wrong while you're on a camping trip. I just wanted to say hi and welcome to Nate Muskoka because he came on and said hi, but we were yapping.
Hi, Nate.
Nate, do you want to get in on the chat? That sounds like a good story. I'm posting the link if you want in. If you don't, that's okay too. I don't want to force anyone to throw themselves up on screen. But if you think you got some good stuff to say, then you're definitely welcome to join. And we got a good panel happening here. Actually, this is good.
I haven't done a live stream in so long; it feels good. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, avid outdoorsy guy has had some really interesting stuff to say. Mike is always interesting, but you know who hasn't said a lot? Dennis.
My mouth's been full.
Dennis has been so busy chewing.
Yeah.
And he's just letting us yap and yap and yap. But man, I know you've got some stories, some camping stories that would probably.
I could attest to the whole getting lost or losing direction in like the forest and stuff like that. But I've got I don't know if it's something that's just inside of me, but I've always had this uncanny ability to know which way I'm going.
Oh, I envy you that because I have an uncanny ability to get my ass lost.
Yeah, because I remember being a kid, and I had an uncle that lived in Kitchener, Ontario, right? And I had only ever been there once. And then my dad goes, "You know where we're going?" I go, "Yeah, turn left here, turn right here, turn left here." And it's like I took him right back to my uncle's place like a year and a half later. So I don't know. It's just one of those things, right? I have a good sense of direction. Not to say that it couldn't happen to me because it can, right? But I'm fortunate. I don't know. Maybe I feel the sun in the right spot on my head or something, right? Big solar dome happening here. So.
There we go.
How you doing, Nate?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Good.
Now, what I do want to hear about is Nate Muskoka's story about getting lost on skis on Crown Line last week.
On the hook.
That's that. I gotta hear about that. So let's hear it, man. How'd you get lost on skis?
Uh-oh. Can't hear him.
Uh-oh. Nate, no sound.
Can't hear you.
No, test your mic. Turn on your mic.
Nothing.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, Nate's muted. Nate, you're muted.
I'm gonna drop out and come back in again.
Nate, log out and then log back in. We'll see if that does it.
There's a mute button at the bottom of the screen, but on the left.
Yeah, but I didn't mute him. Oh, you think he muted himself in StreamYard?
Mike, that bear in the background is really freaking me out. That thing is huge.
Yeah, it's about 5 feet tall.
I feel like it's one of those bears that somebody can hide in and then just jump out and scare the crap out of you.
Well,
You
we have to
ever
wait and
see
see.
that video?
I never even thought of such a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nate, I need to know that story. Oh, he's got a device not connected.
All right.
There you go.
Can we hear you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Hey, there we go. We got you now.
Awesome.
So lost on skis, eh?
So I'm a big fan of Altai skis, which are basically a short, fat ski with an integrated skin and a universal binding. That's a combination of a snowshoe and a backcountry ski, as some people would think of it. But they're fantastic in the bush around here. So we have a good chunk of snow up here right now. And so last week, a couple Instagram friends of mine, who one of whom hadn't tried Altais yet, we decided to go for an excursion, which on a route I've done before from basically where Muskoka meets Algonquin Park. Via an old ATV trail. We were going to park on the side of a road and basically ski into Marion Lake, which, if you look on your Algonquin Park map, is right on the southwestern border, surrounded by Crown land. And so
Sounds bloody lovely, actually.
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous back there. And yeah, at this point last week, we had just gotten a fresh dump of snow. So the snow was fresh. It was fast. It was cold. We were making good time, and we ended up following someone that had gone down there in a one lone snowmobile, because it's not a snowmobile trail, but there is one tiny grandfathered in hunt camp at the end of this lake, which is where I was assuming the snowmobile was going to check on the, presumably check on this hunt camp.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that is not what the snowmobile was doing, and one wrong turn later, after not checking my map, or I made the blind mistake of following the snowmobile trail, and we were suddenly arcing up kind of northeast into the park, and before we knew it, we were on the shoreline of a no-name lake, a lake without any kind of name, that was kind of right on the borderline of Algonquin Park, and didn't quite know where we were. So yeah, and it was about 1:30 in the afternoon.
What kind of trail were you following?
Pardon me?
What kind of trail were you following again? A snowmobile trail?
Well, essentially, it's an old logging road that branched off into disused ATV trails. So it's an unused snowmobile trail. Around here, there's groomed snowmobile trails that are run by the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Association, and this was not one of those. So this was an old logging road that had been used previously as an ATV trail, and essentially my presumption was that the snowmobiler that had gone down here was going to check out this old hunt camp on the end of the lake.
So you were following a fresh trail, though. I mean, of snowmobile tracks. What you're saying, right?
It was a day old. Yeah.
Okay.
So we made a wrong turn to try to keep following the snowmobile trail, because I had assumed it was going to this hunt camp on the end of Marion Lake, and it did not. And we found ourselves on the edge of a no-name lake, pretty little lake, and that's where we decided to stop and make a fire, have some lunch. At which point, the only interaction with other people of the day was an M&R chopper that flew over.
Oh,
wow!
Well, they do a moose count around this time of year, and this was the M&R chopper from Kearney doing kind of a roundabout along that borderline of the park. Anyways, I don't think they saw us, or I don't think they cared if they saw
M&R
us.
means what?
I was about to say, to those who are not Canadian,
Oh, sorry. The Ministry of
Natural Resources.
So it'd be kind of like the Forestry Service, I guess. So we continued along until I found a high point where I could get 1 or 2 bars of cell phone service and orient ourselves on Google Maps, which really doesn't help you much if you think of Google Maps being the direction you want to go as the crow flies, which
Right.
around here isn't going to help you at all.
Right.
I was going to say recalculating over and over.
Right. So, luckily, we ended up doing a big circuit that thankfully led us through a couple old logging roads and then back onto an ATV trail, which led to a ski trail, which led to some bushwhacking around the top end of a lake and back to the road we had parked on 4.5 hours and 17 kilometers later.
Wow. Not the trip you thought you were going to take when you left that morning.
Not at all. Thankfully, my companions are they were younger and in much better shape than me.
So they carried you?
And they were both up for an adventure, and luckily we had stopped and actually had been able to make a fire and make some food, and so we were kind of we had enough energy to make the day work. But we ended up actually when I look back at it on the map, we had gone up from Marion Lake, gone around, and then back up to Maggie Lake, which, as if anyone knows Algonquin Park well, is right along the western border of Algonquin Park, and then gone back around to the top of Tasso Lake.
So did you get dehydrated or anything, or what?
Yeah, I think at the end of it we were a little dehydrated because none of us brought enough water to kind of go for that long. And I mean, the skiing we were doing is a fairly aerobic exercise. It's it's much faster than snowshoeing. It's a little slower than cross country skiing, but you're still it's.
How bad were you dehydrated? I mean, did you have dark urine or?
Me myself, I would say yes. The other guys, I don't know. I'll have to ask. Mostly we were just exhausted.
I know that feeling.
Sorry.
I understand. I know that feeling.
Yeah, and we were just, I think we were basically invigorated at the end of the day that we had actually made it back, and no one had been hurt, and no one was in rough shape. But there's a few hours there where you're not really quite sure where you are, and there's enough old logging roads there that spider web off into the middle of nowhere where you really, unless you kind of know the direction you're heading in, you really have no idea. You could wind up in Kearney, or you could wind up, you could wind up in Nova, or you could wind up further into Algonquin Park. At which point, you don't really have a lot of assistance.
So you knew you were going hiking, and here's the thing about life in general and getting lost. At some point in your life, you're going to be on some kind of battlefield where your life is at risk, at least, and it's something that you're not going to be prepared for in some way because you just didn't think you'd be fighting on that kind of a battlefield. It could be anything. You could be on a boat and it could sink. It could be anything. It could be hiking, it can be medical, and it's just part of life. Your life is going to be at risk at some point. You're going to be on some kind of survival battlefield.
Absolutely, and I think none of us panicked, or none of us got too concerned because we all realized how much ground we had to cover, how much daylight we had left. We all had the means to make fire, make water, make shelter. We just at a certain point we just kind of realized we were going to be in for a longer afternoon than we had planned for. But at the end of the day, it made for a slightly better adventure. And actually tomorrow, we are going to tackle the original intended route again.
Oh no!
With a special guest, whom you YouTube folks will probably see some type of version of down the road. I'll leave it at that for now, but
oh yeah, totally just flirt with telling us who it's gonna be, right?
Well, you never I don't want to, who knows if this person, this person could have a flat tire on the way up.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You never know, but the intention is to do our original route into Marion Lake, which is half Crown Land, half in Algonquin Park. Eat in there tomorrow, have a fire, have a meal, not get lost, and make our way back in really good time.
And I think that whenever you take a trip like that, you kind of have to be prepared for it maybe turning into an inadvertent camping trip.
Yeah, this is back there. It's very true because it's extremely hilly. There's a lot of elevation change, and honestly, you have absolutely no idea if you're going to have 2 bars of cell reception at any time or absolutely 0 for extended periods of time. So you really can't count on that whatsoever. And so, luckily enough, the two my 2 friends I was out with, they're locals, they're experienced outdoorsmen, and we all had the resources we would have needed to make it through the night.
Are there predators in this area?
Pardon me?
Are there predators in the area that you have to worry about?
There are always predators. In Canada, there are always predators somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, all the bears should be in their, all the bears should be sleeping.
Yeah, that's true.
We're traveling in a group of 3. I would never be worried about any kind of predator at that
Wolves.
point.
Yeah, I'd say probably the worst would be wolves, but they'll leave you.
We actually, funnily enough, we were following one set of wolf tracks. We were following one set of wolf tracks for quite a while that was fresh. And by what I mean by fresh is that they were fairly deeply imprinted, and you could see enough of the toss from the top of the print to know that they were extremely fresh, because there was bits of fresh snow still right at the top of the toes, etc.
Oh, wow.
We knew they were probably a couple hours old, but one set of prints. I mean, it's one wolf probably out cruising for an easy meal. We did follow some really fresh moose tracks for a while, and by fresh I mean we were encountering moose hair that was still leaving an imprint in the snow, meaning it was warm when it came off the body of the moose. But we never saw anything. And traveling in a group of 3 male adults like that, if we had to camp overnight, I wouldn't be concerned about any kind of predator at all.
Right.
Did you not have an opportunity just to follow your tracks back, Nate?
Well, here's the thing. We did. And then when we were able to assess, when I had a bit of cell reception, we were able to assess where we were and kind of look at a reasonable route back. The 3 of us made a decision together and said, let's have an adventure and try this loop back to make a loop instead of turning around in our tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an educated educated decision made right after we had lunch to try and make an adventure of it. And
I don't know about this whole thing about adventure. It seems to me that when you're sitting on the couch and reflecting on it, you can think of it as an adventure, but when you're out there dealing with it, it doesn't seem that way.
No, but I mean that's sort of the beauty of, like whenever you're going through hell and you think, man, in 10 years I'm going to laugh about this. It's kind of the same thing, You look back and, man, that was an adventure. When you're living through it, you're like, oh my God, I need new underwear by the time I get home. But I mean, that's not an unnatural reaction,
No, not at all.
I'm gonna have to get Dennis to send me one of those backdrops, by the way. Rain Dance Bushcraft, not an epic mess in the background kind of thing.
Hey, StreamYard's got green screen now.
Yeah, but I don't have a green screen.
Be cheaper to buy a green screen than for me to send you one of these.
I know. I'm just being a great big jerk. Actually, wait, maybe suddenly you're the one being the...
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's back to what I was saying, that like sort of the hindsight turns everything into an adventure. Because look, if you survived, you got a story to tell. And that kind of makes it worthwhile,
Yeah, and at no point I don't think we were worried about not making it. I think we just basically all had to agree as a group that it was going to be a much longer day, and we were just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah,
because we didn't want to turn around in our tracks, and we wanted to try to do the circuit we were going to do. And we all knew we had ample food, et cetera. And so, yeah, we pulled it off. And yeah, of course, 8 hours later, we were laughing about it and cheersing and calling it an adventure. And that's, I guess, what adventure is.
Yeah. I don't think, like some people set out, I'm going to have an adventure, but no. An adventure is something you don't necessarily plan to. I mean, unless you're running off to war or something, but you know what I'm saying?
I think
for most of us,
my definition of adventure is a planned outing where things don't go as planned, but you make the most of it anyways.
Yeah, well, life is what happens.
Sounds good to me. Yeah,
your plan.
Yeah, that sounds like a good definition to me, Nate.
So somebody was saying they were hunted by wolves, or their friend was.
Yeah, Alain was saying that one of his friends was hunted by wolves last summer. It was the first time in his life. He's not easily scared. It's funny because you reminded me of when I was on a bush weekend with my squadron back in the day. There was a pack of wolves in the area, And I'd never actually heard wolves before, like real ones outside of like movies. And I found it a very ghosty sound.
Mm-hmm.
I saw The Gray, that movie, The Gray. That was about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've come across the wolves. I've come across wolves just in terms of hearing them across the lake and then hearing the howling come around the other side of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where at this point in time, we were basically more concerned for my friend's dog that was with us than we were for us, because my friend's dog, a golden retriever, was just going absolutely bonkers because you could hear the sound coming closer and closer around the lake, and we were just worried about her trying to get out of the tent or drawing them closer. But eventually, like, nothing really happened. I mean, they went off in a different direction. They had other plans. The smell wasn't enticing enough to bring them within range of the tents.
But maybe I'm kind of dumb about this, but I would automatically be more afraid for my pet than for myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the concern was for this dog that it wouldn't calm down. It wouldn't sleep through the night. It would.
The dog's not smart enough to know that it can't win. Get the pack of wolves.
Well, no, the problem is around here, especially with a female, is that or a male, is that often if a pack is hungry enough to need that kind of effort for some protein, is that it will send either a male or a female in, depending on the smell of the other canine, to try to draw the canine out of the area to make it easier prey.
Closest I ever came is in when I was living in Cal. Yeah, one time hiking on the Zuma Fire Road Trail, I pretty much walked right in the middle of a pack of coyotes, and it was one of those times that it was like midnight. I was really tired, and I really don't think I could have fought off 30 coyotes, but they saw me and ran. So they didn't know how tired I was, and I was a lot bigger than they were. So they were only coyotes. So but there was like 30 of them or something, howling at the moon or doing whatever they do at midnight.
Yeah, if they're like, if nothing is hungry enough to want to tangle with an upright biped, they're moving on.
Yeah. I can tell you a story about a wolf encounter. We were canoeing up north around the Saskatchewan area, and we're on a lake called Siskiyou Lake, and we used that as a base camp, my buddy and I. And then we decided one day we knew there was a logging road, so we paddled over and went for a little hike. And as we're walking along, at that time I had a yellow lab, and she would always go off ahead, right, sort of leading the pack type of thing. And we come walking around this corner, and I'll be damned, she's standing nose to nose with a freaking timber wolf. And the timber wolf's just looking at her, and she's looking at it like, she's looking like, I want to play. And the timber wolf's probably there. I don't know if I want to hear her eat yet, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as the wolf seen us, it took off into the brush. So, but, he was tall and mangy looking. He didn't have a lot of meat on his bones. But
it's not just whether it's a wolf or a dog. I mean, my parents did a rescue of this tiny little. When they rescued it, it was a 10-pound little Maltese water dog, but this dog was born and raised on the street. And when I visited him, I heard this dog growl, and it sounded just like a timber wolf. You could not tell the difference. I mean, it's because it obviously, this dog grew up on the street. It has to fight for its life. It has to fight for food every day, and it's just a different kind of way of growing up for an animal. Even if it's been domesticated, you couldn't believe the sound was coming from this little dog. And he actually, when he growled at like the pool cleaning guy, as soon as the pool guy heard the sound, he dropped his stuff and ran from like this little dog, just because of the way he sounded. Because it just there's a certain I mean, domesticated dogs that are grown up in a safe environment just don't know they don't get it, and so. But I tell you, that pound that rescued Maltese, it really appreciates having a home that my parents gave it. And
Okay. Nate, what happened to you?
I don't know. I think my phone is not cooperating the way I want it to.
Fair enough.
I have to. Dennis, that was a great show tonight, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I had low expectations for it, for sure.
Dennis, what's your channel about?
What's that, HS?
What's your channel about?
Wait, let me answer this. It's called the Kevin Callan Babysitter Hour.
Yeah, really. Eh? I'm gonna get him to play this back. What's our time mark here?
We're at 22:36.
No, it's an outdoor show or channel. It's basically I do a lot of canoeing and bushcrafty type of things. That's how Rain Dance, Jess and I got hooked up here. Common interest. And I have a show, a weekly show that runs on Tuesday nights. That's basically an outdoor show, and I bring on various YouTube guests, or I'll talk about upcoming events and things like that. And it's getting to be pretty popular, I think.
Well, it's a good show. I mean, I nowadays I keep missing it because it's my daughter's karate class right before my show.
Yeah,
right before like what we're all on right now. But I watch it the next day, or I watch it over the course of the next week because I like it. I think we got some good stuff happening there.
So if I type Canoe Hound into YouTube, your channel will come up, right?
Yeah, Canoe Hound Adventures.
Okay.
Or even Canoe Hound. I don't think there's many people out there that go by Canoe Hound. So,
Truth.
Rain Dance, are you coming to the Outdoor Adventure Show or the Backcountry Canoe Symposium?
Not this year. I'm stuck. Sort of. I got a 1-year-old right now.
Oh.
So
that'll do it.
everything is sort of on hold for me until next year, probably.
Totally understandable.
And my wife does a job that the hours can be very crazy. So very often I end up sort of making sure that I leave work early enough to do all the pickups and stuff because she's stuck until God knows when. So
okay, right
it's
on.
very complicated, but I have high hopes for next year. I really want to start seeing. I want to go to one show next year, and then the next year after that, go to 2 shows. And
do they have those in? Do they have any in Montreal? Any
we got shite here. We got like a hunting and fishing show.
Yeah,
but it's mostly I have no idea what a pourvoirie is in English. Outfitters, I guess.
Okay.
Just sort of advertising their land and stuff. We don't have anything like Canoecopia or anything like that. We don't have an extravaganza. We don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah. Nate, you're going to the Outdoor Adventure Show?
Yes, sir. I will be there on the Friday.
Yeah. Do you need tickets?
No.
No? Okay. Because they sent me they're sending me 20 tickets.
Oh well, hey, that's fantastic. No, I was actually thinking I might give one of my tickets away.
Oh really? Okay.
Where is it?
Anyways, I'm gonna be there on the Friday. I can't be there on the Saturday because due to my job, that Saturday, the entire main street of Huntsville, Ontario, is going to be covered in 3 feet of snow for skiing, snowboarding, and snowshoeing. The entire main it is a sight to behold. It is crazy.
And where's that taking place? You broke up.
Huntsville?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Huntsville, Ontario.
Oh, in Huntsville. Okay.
Isn't that where
right
Pine Martin's from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like I live about 3 blocks away from Martin.
Nate, I'm going to be in your neighborhood this spring.
Hey, yeah, let's meet up, man.
Take him down to Muskoka Brewery.
There's a
That's
brewery?
in Tracer.
Yeah,
Here in
Muskoka
Huntsville,
Brewery.
we
Yeah,
have,
I know where we're going to meet.
well, here in Huntsville, though, we have Lake of Bays Brewery, which us we at Algonquin Outfitters are marketing partners. So if we want to do something there, then we absolutely can.
I may private message you at some point this week.
Sure. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah.
But
Check
yeah,
out.
so that I'll be at the Outdoor Adventure Show on Friday. Saturday, I have to be here in the store because the entire Main Street is turned into Winter Wonderland. Like it's literally on the Friday. There's literally a cross country ski race through town.
Oh, that sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
I want to say something that, of course, we sort of veered off the camping thing, but I've never heard of those skis that you were talking about.
Oh, well, they're easy to Google, and it's a funny little company where, from my experience, the owner doesn't really care a whole lot about marketing and advertising because he doesn't have to. The skis speak for themselves. They are made by a company called Altai, Altai. The model that we sell a ton of is called the Hawks, HOKS. And they come in two different lengths. I don't know if you're familiar with Buck Miller and his crew doing the crossing of Algonquin Park in the dead of winter a couple of years ago. But those guys were all on Altais. I mean, there's some stuff on YouTube for sure about them. There's a ton of stuff online about them. For around here, as far as backcountry travel in the snow through the bush, in varied elevation, they are the absolute perfect backcountry tool.
It's good to know.
You carry them at you got them at the store at Algonquin Outfitters?
Yeah, we sell them. We rent them. Hap Wilson uses them. Sean James tried out a pair last year in those shorter size. So I was just talking to him the other day. He and his wife are gonna come and try some of the longer 145s that he wasn't able to try last year.
Sorry, happens all the time. My biggest fan.
You will never ever see my wife on screen. My daughter all the time, as some of you know. She's my my occasional co-host, but my wife, no way. Never gonna ever.
Like night call, that's all.
Yeah. Dennis, she looks like a very lovely, patient lady.
She puts up with my shit. I don't understand it, but she's a good one.
That's okay. You put up with mine.
Yeah. Okay. Good night. Good later. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Simon has done us all a favor by putting up the link to the skis.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, we sell them. I don't know. I don't need to do a lot of work to sell them just because they kind of sell themselves. It's something that we're going to be using tomorrow with someone that you guys are probably familiar with, and then we'll go from there. But Hap Wilson and Andrea have tried them and love them. Sean has tried the shorter size, but he's going to try the longer size with his wife this winter after we get some more snow. There's guys that do expeditions on these. I mean, they're a really good combination of essentially a backcountry ski and a snowshoe. So if you find snowshoes a little slow and cumbersome, and you find skis a little tipsy and not maneuverable, these are the answer.
Yeah, you see, here's the thing, because for the past 10 or 12 years, my wife and I have been doing a lot of snowshoeing. I love snowshoeing. I came into it very late, but I love it. I haven't been on skis in like 30 years. I used to do cross country. I've never been into the downhill, but
I have a lot of ski stories.
I got one quick question for Nate there. You working on Monday?
Oh, sorry. I had to plug in my phone, guys.
No problem. Are you working on Monday?
This coming Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Because I'm going winter camping up at Mew Lake there with the guys from Kid Products, and I think they're planning on stopping into the store there to check inventory and stuff like that. So
Yeah, they usually do. They come in and bug Gavin, but I'll be there.
yeah, okay. Well, I'll probably see you then because I'll pop in with them because we usually go to that restaurant next door with all the levels.
Yeah, the pub.
Yep.
Yeah, Dennis, let me know if you'd like to try those pair of all ties, and I'll sort something out for you.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see what's going on.
And
That's cool. We'll hook up.
Rain Dance, when are you going to be here in the spring?
First weekend of May, I think. I'm going to be doing a very small canoe camping trip. A weekend is all I can get this year, but because I haven't been on a canoe in 25 years, going to get some pointers in the form of a canoe camping weekend. I'm going to do an episode fairly soon about getting prepped for that, making sure that I'm packing the right stuff because I haven't packed for a canoe camping trip since I was in my teens. So I don't even know if I got all the right stuff anymore.
I guess we'll find out.
I guess we will. You see this? That's the way I'm living these days.
Well, we don't have
Let
canoe
me know if
camping
you're
in Hawaii.
Yeah, it'd be great if we're all around and can have a pint at Lake of Bays or wherever.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, I'm literally about 2.5 kilometers. Mine and my girlfriend's house is about 2.5 kilometers from the store, so I am readily available for a pint or a hand.
Nice.
Cool.
So tell you what, we're 10:45. I gotta be up early tomorrow, so maybe we'll end it 15 minutes early. Even though I'm loving this conversation.
Yeah, I actually got to duck out myself.
You do, and I think Nate, you'd said you were on your way out too.
I have to be up fairly early.
Yeah,
I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know how it goes tomorrow, and I'll probably have something up on my Instagram. Okay, but thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Good to have you around. All right.
See you on Monday, Nate.
So thanks to you guys, and thanks to everyone who's been hanging out in the side chat. I'll see you guys next week with my next actual panel discussion. I got some cool guys on next week. I'm very excited about it. I will be advertising that in the coming week. And so, Dennis, thanks for coming on. I love having you on. HVS, thanks for coming on.
HVS, nice meeting you.
And everybody, have a bloody lovely week. Thanks a lot.
See you later, chat.
Aloha.